Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Our first story sounds like a beautiful back and forth of petty. Harmless work prank wars are the best, so get ready and we'll continue right after a short pause. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. One for the money. Yesterday, whilst working, my older coworker, who's usually friendly with me, was in a bitchy mood, and I unfortunately had to take my medicine along with the rest of my coworkers. My older coworker's also a supervisor, so she has to count all the tills at the end of the day. One of the rules about taking cash payment is that the bills all face the same direction, i.e., Mr. Washington and his mates' noses all point in the same direction. She's particularly stringent about the rule and will call a person out if they've stuck a bill in the wrong way. So after getting sniped and snapped at for several hours, I got together with my other coworkers and we all agreed that just before our shifts ended, we would all go about half a stack into each slot in our registers and turn a few of the bills over, so that when older coworker was counting tills at the end of the night after closing, she'd get halfway through the stacks in each drawer and have to stop, turn each misspaced one over, which means losing her place and having to start all over again. I just got a text from one of my coworkers who said that she got an angry text from older coworker complaining about her messy drawer. Apparently she thought it was only Friend's drawer since Friend's was the first she counted last night, and just a moment ago as I typed that last little bit, she texted me and said she realized about halfway through that it was payback for her attitude and that she loves us all and that it was decent, but now she would have to get us all back. Can't wait to see what she comes up with. Edit. When my coworker got back, she used the time change against me. Most of my coworkers know that time changes drive me crazy because it has the potential to make people late or early. So this morning, exhausted from that one less hour of sleep, I began getting bombarded with phone calls from work, frantic messages about how everyone was worried about me since I was an hour late with no call, and I was never late. How my boss was considering calling my mother in case I was hurt or ill. So I called, an older coworker answered. I told her I had 36 on my watch. She reminded me of the skip ahead. Naturally, in my early morning state, I panicked, thinking I overslept and get my hitch into a giddy-up. I pulled up into the parking lot minutes later to see the store still in the before opening half-lit stage, and most of my coworkers' cars aren't there. I ran inside, and there she is, waiting for me with a coffee and a donut. I was right on time. So that's me had. And it was gorgeous. And our second story, fire her. A little background. I live in the first house in the township. The people across the street from me are in the city. The boundary is the middle of the street. The city had garbage pickup paid by taxes, and the township has to pay for garbage pickup themselves. Story. I was low on funds and didn't get my pickup paid for until payday, so instead of taking the garbage back in my house, I left it out till the next week. It was just trash, nothing that would rot and end up stinking. I live right next door to my work, a very large Kroger. The Karen across the street from me prides herself as a great Christian. Instead of saying to me, I can see you're having a hard time right now, why don't you put your garbage with mine for a week or two? She went to my manager and tried to get him to fire me because my garbage was still out. The manager told me about it, and when I went into work, we had a good laugh. My coworkers called her Crazy Lady. Edit. I just remembered something. At the time, I was a single mother with no boyfriend or have men over. I dressed very conservatively, and when she went to the manager, she called me the slut that lives next door. I've known her for 40 years, so she did know my name. The manager said, "Do you mean OP?" My manager knew I lived next door. And our next story. You left your car in the middle of the parking lot all week, so now you have to dig it out of the snow in the middle of a cold Saturday night. The parking lot at my apartment complex is long, with just one entrance in the middle. And at my end of the complex, it serves about 4 buildings worth of cars. Cars park on both sides of the travel lane facing away from each other. One winter after a heavy snow, the snowplows come Monday morning and clear up the travel lanes, leaving a long snow berm behind the parked cars. Most of us chose to react as any reasonable person would. We'd dig our cars out of the snow or use it as an excuse to prevent further human contact. Well, one of the lovely residents decided he wanted to leave, but not put in the small effort of moving the snow. He decides to put his car in reverse and gun it over the small snowbank. Well, the effort was enough to get his rear tires over the snow, and the momentum moved it just under the front doors of the car. And there he stayed, with his car teetering back and forth on the snow mound, with over 3/4 of his car now in the travel lane. After opening his car door and assessing the situation, he just got out and went inside his apartment building, never to return. Okay, maybe he was in a rush. Maybe there was an emergency and couldn't deal with it right now. Maybe he was just having a bad day. I'm sure he'll come dig himself out this afternoon. This evening? Tuesday? It was very cold, and there's a little more snow, but nothing was melting away, and because of my wonderful neighbor, about 1/4 of the parking lot was blocked, with only smaller cars able to get past him, and that was only because others have cleared the other snow berm in the opposite side of him. Thankfully, the guy that was parked directly behind him was able to exit with some help from a friend directing him out, but that spot then remained empty because no one wanted to deal with trying to get into it. Now, I admit I could or should have contacted management, but the first day or so I assumed he'd be a decent human being and move his car so it wasn't a hazard. And I half expected management or maintenance to see it while doing their normal rounds and do something about it themselves. The guy also lived in a different building, and I had no idea who he was nor what apartment he lived in. Well, Saturday late night comes along and the car's not budged. My roommate and I were bored. Alcohol may have been involved. And we were getting irrationally angry about the car in the middle of the lot. Our neighbor comes over to hang out, who'd not been drinking. We're bitching about random things, and I'm looking at the parking lot, and I realize my neighbor's car is small. Not like a Mini or a VW, but small enough to fit in front of another car, a car that's in the middle of the parking lot with a wide enough walking path next to it. My friend has a pretty old banged-up car. It was his first beater car he got in high school, so I expressed an idea. Obviously, this guy in the middle of the lot has no intention of moving his car anytime soon, so let's force his hand. My neighbor gets his car and drives it up next to the parking spot and tries to parallel park into the space the other car left behind. Not much room, so there was a lot of back and forth. He gets about halfway into it, but his wheels start spinning due to the snow and ice, and he just can't maneuver. Physics to the rescue. Neighbor starts spinning the tires on the ice, and I was able to just push it sideways the rest of the way in. We then proceed to call the tow company that handles our parking lot. Hi, I parked in a parking spot, and this dude just parked behind me and is blocking me in. Now I can't leave. Tow company doesn't come, but apparently calls on-call maintenance, and now apartment management's there. Now I feel kind of bad. I meant to ruin one guy's night, not everyone's night. But they finally get the culprit out there after a couple of minutes. He's standing there, not particularly dressed for the weather, staring at the cars, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. He sees some marks in the snow and starts arguing that someone must have pushed the car into place. We weren't able to determine if management thought he was crazy or more likely just didn't care because they probably knew it had been there the entire time. But they more or less told him it didn't matter and he needed to move his car. Everyone leaves him there to dig. So for the next half hour, we watched this guy dig his car out of the cold, hard snow that had only melted enough throughout the week to harden into ice and make the task that much more difficult. Once he finally frees his car, he drives it straight into the free spot across from him, which was only open because of his negligence. He then looks around and kicks my neighbor's tire before heading back inside. We giggle and move on with our petty lives. And our last story. No, ma'am, we're not going to move the farmer's market closer to your house. So I work for a farm. The owner's also the manager of the Farmers Market Association in town. We do 3 markets a week, one at a local park, one at a roadside property owned by the farm, and the third one just recently was moved back into the downtown area where there's a lot of foot traffic. This is obviously great for all the vendors, and we're all really excited that the city's making room for us, which has been really difficult to achieve in the past. But obviously there are customers who will be crabby no matter what, right? So 2 weeks ago, we had the opening market at the downtown site. Things get busy, and I'm trying to wait on people as fast as I can while still being friendly and chatty because everyone's curious. I look to see who the next customer is and recognize this older lady who used to come to the market frequently, but who I hadn't seen in a while. She was the kind who didn't really ever buy much, but always wanted to suck up your time with conversation. I greeted her, chatted to her a little, and then she got a very serious expression and said, Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to yell at your boss." Okay, then. I took the next customer, but kept my ear on her, obviously. When my boss is done with the person he's waiting on, she gets his attention. "Oh, well, I'm mad at you." Boss. Why?" "Oh, well, because this market used to be closer to my house, and now it's not." Honestly, my boss and I both chuckled at this because we thought she was at least half kidding. Boss, still thinking she's kidding around. "Well, everyone else is happy we move locations." "Oh, well, getting more irate. Well, I'm not. I had to pay money for parking. You need to move the market back." Boss. "We didn't get any business there. We were losing vendors because of it." "Oh, well, I don't care. It was more convenient for me. Move it back." Boss. "No." She stormed off shortly after. The kicker is, when I got back to my car at the end of the market, I had to pay a whopping $7 total in meter fees, but you didn't hear me complaining or demanding a location change because of it. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.